I love my FatShark SEs. I also love my Real ACC 5808, but it's time for some new goodies, and this one is called the Furious True D, and we've got it for review. Now, on a serious note, I've had this Real ACC 5808 module for the good part of 2 years now, I think. I remember reviewing it on the channel and at the time absolutely loving it, because unlike the general basic modules that don't have a display, this one gives you loads of feedback. You've also got a full menu system on here, you've got auto scan, band scanning. It's really good, but there is a limit to its functionality, and pretty much this is good for band scanning and for automatic location of your channel, but that's about it, other than diversity, of course. So I wanted more, and that's where this new product from FuriousFPV comes in. So this has come into us from Banggood, and it retails at about £60, which is about $70. Now, if we compare that to the current price for the latest version of the 5808 from Real ACC, that comes in at £40. So this is more expensive, but you'll probably see why as we go into this review. The functionality and feature set is much bigger. So we get this lovely little container, which is quite nice actually, because on the rear of these little PCBs, there are some very delicate pins. And so it's quite nice actually to get a unit to store these properly. You can see here on the 5808 just what I mean about how fragile these can be. Inside there, we've got a manual, first of all, which talks you through the menus and various settings on here. There is a need to calibrate this module as well, as there was the 5808 as well. This is quite nice as well, a guide through all of the menus and the menu options, which will save you a bit of time when you're trying to locate a feature. Now, you'll also note with the 5808, this horrible cover that I ordered in addition to the 5808, it's actually faded in color and gone a bit yellow, but you needed that because the 5808 just arrived as a PCB and nothing more. The nice thing about this module here is that it's got that already molded into it as part of the design. So that is really slick. Look at that. Very, very nice. Now, first impressions are that this is slightly heavier than this 5808 module, only very slightly, however. But the benefit here is that we've got much more intuitive system for selecting the menu options. We've got 3 buttons on here rather than just the 1 and the rocker switch of the 5808. And it also comes with the SMA ports nicely covered there for protection. We have again got diversity, of course, which is standard on these lovely modules. We've got a lovely screen in the middle there as well. And if we just rotate it backwards as well, you'll notice on the underside here is a USB port. Now, you can firmware upgrade the RX 5808, but it's a bit of a headache, and I believe you need a special little board to do it. This, however, of course, has a USB port, so firmware upgrades are much, much simpler. So overall, a really nicely made bit of kit, very, very neat and tidy, and certainly the RX 5808 is a great module, but it is cheap. This doesn't have that cheap feel to it at all, and it's only £20 or $20 more. Also in this little box, we get a 45-degree SMA connector and a slightly lesser angle as well. So that's useful for connecting your patch antenna and the other one for your omnidirectional. That's all we get in the box there. So let's check the fitment of this module now on our FatShark goggles. So with the RX 5808 removed, you can see we've got the space here and the port connectors here as well. Now, if anybody tells you that these modules are easy to fit, I have to disagree. It is a little bit fiddly, and you have to be very careful, because if you do bend these pins here on the module, you're basically screwed, unless you're very, very good at soldering. Now, my advice would be to first of all line up the pins on the side here, gently push in that side, and note the layout of the pins and the direction in which you want to push. You're pushing in line with the pins, so make sure you push in that direction, not in any other direction, because you will bend those pins. Once you've done that, push the rest of it in, and it then fits in quite snugly like that. Now, yeah, I guess after a bit of practice, it's easy to fit, but if you rush and do this on the assumption that it's easy, you will damage the pins, and you may even damage the port on the goggles actually as well. Now, to remove that module, I would suggest arching it up from the pin side first, very, very gently, just a little bit, just enough to release it slightly. and then leverage the other side as well and slowly do each side bit by bit, and then eventually it will remove. But again, it's not so easy. So my advice, don't remove and add these constantly. Once it's fitted, try and leave it fitted. You hopefully shouldn't need to remove it anyway. So finally, let's power that module up. Doesn't it look nice? So when it first boots, you will first of all get the FuriousFPV screen, and it also gives you the firmware version, which is 3.6, so it's the very latest. And it's automatically on the manual channel scanning now. Now, if I press the channel up and down button on the top of the FatSharks, they actually function with this as well, which is great. So you can use the inbuilt buttons in the headset to actually change channels here, and that will cycle through, I believe, your saved channels, and that can be up to 8 that you use most often. Now if we press the top button as well and the bottom button here, that effectively does exactly the same as using the goggles inbuilt up and down channel button. If we press the middle button, we now get the menu, and it's really nice how they've even integrated little animations into this. Just that attention to detail is really nice. So if we go on all channels, we can basically now paginate through the bands and all of the channels in those bands as well. So that's basically access to everything if you know exactly which channel you're using. But we'll go out of that and have a look at the other options. We've got the band scanner, which we had on the RX5808 as well. You can see that it basically loops through and shows you the strongest signal. So really, really useful. Gives you the best channel to switch to as well. We'll go out of that. We've got Smart Search, which is going to find the strongest channel and automatically apply it. There we go. So yeah, it's put us on E8. Now I have nothing turned on at the moment. That probably doesn't help. But we'll go back to the menu. All channels we've looked at. We've got saved channels. So as I said, you can store up to 8 of your most commonly used channels. That's really handy. So under settings, first of all, we've got this one, which is quite interesting. The actual module will warn us if our FPV reception drops to a certain level. I've never seen that before on a module. What a nice feature. So I might try that out actually later on the flight test. We then got lock. Now what this does is stop you accidentally changing channel when you're flying. With that enabled, basically what will happen is when you go back to this main screen, it will lock. None of the buttons will work unless you hold the select button down for 3 seconds. So that's quite a nice safety setting, I think. We've then got units where you can change between dBm or percentage. We're going to leave it on percentage because I'm simple. Call sign, you can change that to whatever you want, of course. We've then got the speed. Now this is the speed at which the unit and the filters switch, I believe. If you're going to be flying long range, you're going to be keeping this on low. However, if you are racing, you're going to be wanting this on high. Not quite sure of the implication to the user of the headset, but it's a setting there designed to switch between those two kind of use cases. And then we've got calibrate. So calibrate is basically to do with the diversity, and whenever you upgrade the firmware or if you work with a new transmitter, you should always recalibrate using that option. And that's it in terms of settings. So overall, a really good looking module, much better fit than any other goggle module that I've seen in the past, and there's no chance of this ripping out or falling out or even detaching and briefly losing power whilst you're flying. It's really firmly stuck in there, so that's really good to see. Nice features on there as well. The band scanner, the save channels where you can store up to 8 of your often used channels is really good. And of course, just generally the screen and the usability of this is really nice. I did wonder actually if I would miss the rotary dial of the 5808, but in all honesty, I don't. These are just easier to page through and they're just much easier to use in general. So yeah, nice package, and at only £60 or $65, really good value, especially the fact that it even includes the little accessories and the 45-degree SMA adapters, etc. So yeah, very, very nice. Comment below with your thoughts on this. I will be getting some DVR footage from it at some point as well in a future review. In the meantime, links to it are in the video description. Comment below with your thoughts, give the video a thumbs up, and thank you very much for watching.